All right. What's going on, ladies and gents? We're live. Welcome back here. Just bear with as I get everything set up fully here on this side here. But, how are we all doing today, ladies and gents? Welcome into another one here. Just making sure everything's good and stable here for this stream. Bear with here, we're nearly done. Thank you guys for being patient. It was a little bit of a slower start today. Welcome everyone. I do see we have a small dump here. We're going to put it on the main screen here in just a moment. All right. What's up, ladies and gents? Welcome back. Oh shit. How are we doing today? Nearly knocked my drink over. I won't do that. Put that down over there. All right. How's it going, ladies and gents? Welcome back. We do have a little bit of a drop right here on Bitcoin. We're sitting at $108,000. It is what it is. It's not ideal. We're going to be breaking down what it means here on this live stream. Bear with as I just make sure that everything's looking good here for this stream. I don't think I have my camera on. There we go. Just take care of that. Turn the camera on so you guys can see me. And alright, what's going on, ladies and gents? Welcome to the live stream. A little bit of a shaky start here, but we're live now. We're set. How is everyone doing? Welcome to the live stream. Shout out to everyone that has been dropping your comments in the live chat here. We're going to be going through them. Smash up those likes as we do kick this stream off here. We're live again. We have another potentially pretty important, maybe even dangerous event here in the crypto market. So we're going to be breaking down what all of that might mean here. Smash up those likes as you are coming in here. Let me know how the connection is. Because unfortunately, I'm getting signs that the connection might not be fantastic right now. Alright, hopefully the stream will be stable now. Let me know how the stream is for you guys right now. We should be stabilizing now. Are we stabilizing now? Let me know how it's coming across to you guys in terms of connection, if there are any connectivity issues today, ladies and gents. Connection not good. Should be stabilizing now. Should be good now. From now on, we should be fine. No, I don't think YouTube's down. I think it's just on my side here. But we should be stable now. Just let me know in the live chat. Drop a message that says you're good or something like that if everything's fine. But it does look stable here. Yep. Looks like it is a little bit more stable now. No? Getting better? Yeah. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Well, apologies for that. We do have a little bit of a drop here on Bitcoin. Bitcoin managed to rise up to $109,000 after dropping down to 107.5. And we are now on a little bit of a decline down. So a second drop down in a situation like this is definitely not ideal. You don't want to see that. It's going to potentially indicate that we might be getting ready to break support. But as usual, it's not really a Bitcoin question. So we are going to be evaluating this from the perspective of the S&P 500, which is still open. It closes in 2 hours from the time of our stream right now. And yeah, there's a little bit of fear right now in the S&P 500. In fact, I'll be honest, the way this is developing looks like a really typical continuation pattern that's going to break down. We had a chance to not let that happen up until this candle here. My haircut, yeah, that's why we have a hoodie. That's why we have a hoodie. There we go. See, problems go away just like that. Doesn't even look too bad. We are back on the treadmill, ladies and gents. We are back on the treadmill. Ladies and gents, as you are tuning in here, smash up those likes. Let's get this thing above 100 likes. Shouldn't be too hard. Welcome, everyone. If you haven't already smashed them up, definitely smash them up now. See, the S&P 500, up until this candle here, which was printed on Wednesday, it was looking good. But after that, you know, we had this little decline. We punched up. We didn't get to set a new higher high. That's not good. Now, look, I am analyzing this on the 1 hour time frame, and this is the S&P 500. So I don't want to normalize bringing a degenerate crypto style outlook to a very serious traditional finance index. That's not how this works. It's not how you're going to make money. Don't be an idiot. But I want to read into it for what it's worth. It's not worth a lot, but I want to read into it for what it's worth. Welcome to the live stream, everyone. I'll be going through the live chat in a second. We had a late start, so I just want to catch up on some of the analysis here. If you are just tuning in, or if you haven't done so already, smash those likes up, ladies and gents. Welcome to another live stream here. Really, really important stuff, because the S&P 500 then did not manage. See, previously, every high that it set, it was getting higher and higher. Up until this one. This one is now putting our lows in jeopardy as well. We got 2 hours left for this, and we might be live during this whole daily candle for the S&P 500. So we'll see how this may continue to evolve. But it's definitely off to a shaky kind of, I don't know, late week. I don't even know what I was trying to say there. But it is definitely a little bit shaky, and that is something I want to be acutely aware of here today, ladies and gents. Because I do think it's really, really important. If the S&P 500 is now setting lower highs and getting ready to set lower lows, then according to this not so useful 1 hour time analysis, the S&P 500 could be getting ready to drop down toward 6,500. That is a pretty nice support level for the S&P 500. It makes sense. We've started a correction. I can see why, you know, prevailing ideas might be that we may as well finish it now. And might I add, ladies and gents, it ain't a significant drop. Okay? It's not a significant drop. From that all-time high for the S&P 500 down to this support level is a 4.3% drop. It's not much. Okay, it's not much. Now, in crypto, we might feel it a little bit more. But we've covered this extensively. If you feel price action that you don't think is nice or appropriate or whatever the case may be, that doesn't mean it's not going to happen. That doesn't mean it's going to slow down. That doesn't mean it's going to be nicer to you and cushion your falls. The markets are just going to do what they do. Crypto is a speculative market. Crypto, as a result of being a speculative market, and it's also illiquid. As a result of those two things, it's going to get big drops when traditional finance sees drops. So if the S&P 500 does fall down here, I think we have a high probability of crypto following through, Bitcoin falling below 100K, altcoins getting decimated again. But there's nuances to this. So we're going to be covering that throughout the course of this live stream. Want to check in on the chat, how we all doing? Thanks, guys, for smashing up those likes toward 50. Let's get this thing above 100 likes. I know it's going to be easy. Let me know where in the world you guys are watching from today. Let me know where in the world you guys are watching from today, how you guys are feeling about the market. No one knows where we're going. Prepare accordingly. I mean, yeah, but we got to do our best, right? You know? What's up, ladies and gents? Shout out to Gio, James Madison, Shiraz, Davine, Liberty Interest, Rupin. What's going on, Rupin? Welcome to the live stream. They just want to frustrate people out of the market. Very well could be. We got London, Belgium, Canada, Belgium again. Belgium, Canada, France, same country, right? Nearly? Something like that. Florida, Swindon, South Africa. Still at Pattaya having fun. Yes, sir, you are, you legend. Of course. Bulgaria, Colorado, New York. Fuck the S&P 500. Why fuck the S&P 500, man? I like the S&P 500. It's a beautiful index. What's wrong with the S&P, man? What'd the S&P do to you? We got Gaza here? I don't believe it. Really? We got Nepal, Portugal. What's going on, ladies and gents? Welcome to the live stream. Smash them up. Smash up those likes if you haven't done so already. Let's get this thing above 100 likes. Really kick this stream off here. S&P 500, yes, it is seeing a drop. It has just swept the prior low as we speak. As we speak, ladies and gents, the S&P 500 has just punched below the prior low here. So, unfortunately, not only is the S&P 500 on this very short, not so useful time frame, not only is the S&P 500 setting lower highs now, it is also now punching in lower lows on this very, very small time frame. Now, let's see how this is faring for Bitcoin. Let's put the rect cam on the right-hand side and take a look at what Bitcoin is doing in response to this drop for the S&P 500. It looks like Bitcoin is just kind of hanging out, but we could be on the edge of a collapse below support for Bitcoin here. So I'm going to cover that for you guys in just a moment. How about we cover that? How about we cover that at 100 likes? We'll hit that in like a minute or two. That should be easy. How about we do that? When we hit 100 likes, we talk about what happens below 107. That's nice and easy. We'll get there in just a second. And meanwhile, I do want to talk to you about the S&P 500 again, because, you know, if we are looking at a bigger drop down to support levels like this, you know, that would potentially be enough to kind of reset the S&P and get it kind of going higher for another run. Clearly, you know, Trump and China are kind of going at their negotiations again right now, and so we might see, you know, this taking a little bit of time or whatever the case may be, but I'm not worried by that. I'm not upset by that. That doesn't concern me at all. You know, I mean, they're going to work it out, and even if they don't, we're not watching Trump literally fucking stab the S&P 500 to death. That's not happening, you know, so I really wouldn't worry about it. I really wouldn't worry about Trump, you know, killing the stock markets. I think that's a very silly, childish take. You know, he, like any other president, is going to want the stock market to run. But, you know, the stock market, well, first of all, it's not Trump's whim, you know, where the stock market goes. It is still a market that's beholden to natural forces. But before we continue on that thought, Bitcoin is dropping down right now a little bit here on the 1 minute time frame. Ladies and gents, we're only 21 likes away from 100. Smash them up if you haven't done so already. Bitcoin is taking a tiny, tiny drop down here. If it does sweep this low right here, we're going to put a line down. How do I put a line down? It's this, no? Yeah, right there. That's kind of the line in the sand for Bitcoin. If Bitcoin does drop below that, it's not looking so good. Honestly, in the same vein, if Bitcoin gets above 108.1, then it's probably going to start recovering back up toward 109 and beyond. So, you know, I don't think it's looking too bad. Oh, we do have a Capo post. Capo just made a post on Telegram. What did he say? Okay, so he's like fully like risk off right now because he's net short crypto. I mean, that's not risk off, but that's definitely not speculation either. See who else we got here in the live chat, ladies and gents. Welcome to the live stream, everyone. Thank you for dropping where you are in the world. We got Norway, we got Texas, and this market is toast. Been saying that, and it keeps getting proven right. What's proving you right, bro? Can you give me like 4 bullet points, 5 bullet points of what's proving you right? Maybe 3? Can you give me 3? Portugal. I saw Portugal, Tacoma, Washington, Jamaica. Jason Mack, what's going on, Jason? Hi from us. Jumbling up my words. Hi from Estonia, Argentina, Newport, Oregon, UK, Scotland, Sherborne, Switzerland, Florida. Should we stay in USD right now? Well, that's going to be up to you, sir. But, you know, it really depends, right? I mean, some people do like to kind of move into, you know, stables and USD and stuff like that when the markets are crashing. Other people actually like to buy crashes. So, you know, that's going to really depend on where you are on that spectrum. You know, me personally, I'm here because I understand that sometimes the markets can get a little bit shit. They can even get a little bit scary. So I have that understanding. I'm very familiar with that understanding. Like I said, I've been doing this for over 8 years. And so me personally, you know, when the market starts dropping, people start looking for safety in things like stables. that makes sense. You don't want to lose money. But it also stops you from being able to make money because you're not buying coins when they're low. And an actual byproduct of coins being low is that there's going to be fear in the market. So when the fear is palpable, when you can really feel it in the atmosphere like you can right now, that's when you get good prices. So now the catch, because this is simple, right? Like, obviously you're supposed to buy dips and sell on green days, right? Nobody really does that. Now the catch, though, is if you are looking at like, hey, the market's actually pretty fearful, I want to take advantage of this by buying some cheap coins, where you're naturally going to work yourself into is a place where you're then like, okay, but is now the right time? If I wait a little bit longer, park up in stables, for example, will I have more purchasing power because prices are going lower? And that's not a question that anyone really has a real answer to. I'm going to do my best job to speculate on what I think would happen, and I'm going to give you guys my analysis for why I think that's going to happen throughout the course of this live stream. And if you're excited for that, smash up those likes. I can see that we did just hit 100, so we'll be going through that Bitcoin analysis here in just a moment. If you're excited for that, smash up those likes, because that's exactly what this is about. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, because that's exactly what this is about. Where's my alarm? And so, you know, because of that, it's just a big question about, okay, but what about timing? Now, I'm going to give you a spoiler. One of the easy ways to kind of work this out is basically by just DCAing, just dollar cost average. That means every time the price drops by a little bit, or every week, or whatever the case may be, you just buy $100 worth of the thing, and you're probably going to average out a decent entry. Probably better than if you try and be fucking Superman about it and think that you're the smartest guy here. You know, one thing I do want to take the opportunity to say, well, we have just over 400 viewers on stream today. Thank you all for tuning in. Is that these markets are full of intelligent people. These markets are only intelligent people. Now listen, there's a lot of really, really, really stupid people in crypto. But think about how much money those people control. It's not very much. So in terms of quantity, there might be a lot of stupid people, but in terms of dollars, it's not that much that they control. Please understand that. That's number one. Number two, that invariably must mean that the people who do own and control the large sum of money are also the most intelligent people. And there's a lot of those people. I'm talking about normal retail still. You know, I'm talking about doctors, I'm talking about business owners, I'm talking about family offices even. Those are intelligent people. And the market is full of them. The market is full of people like you. And it's not enough to bring that to the table. I think a lot of people, I've noticed this because I've worked with so many traders over the years directly, on the phone, whatever. A lot of people enter this game thinking, yeah, I dominated corporate life. I have a brilliantly successful business. I've got all these beautiful things going for me. I'm a successful family man, whatever the deal may be. Why can I not just come into crypto and make money? Because they don't. They struggle. And it's like, well, you're competing in an arena where literally you have to compete with people in your city or in your country or in your region, maybe even in an online niche or whatever the case may be. So it's not that hard to be the best. But then you enter a game like trading, or we can even take a different analogy. A game like poker. On poker tables, you choose who you sit with. And the larger the stakes, the more serious the players. Which means that if you want easy games, you can have them, but you're going to win less money. In trading, when you enter, it's just one flat playing field. That's it. Now, some people do have advantages. Some people even have insider information, and that stuff makes it unfair, sure, whatever. But it's a flat playing field. You don't get to choose a different table and then have an easier or more difficult time making money. You're just playing at max difficulty by default. I really want to say that to whoever this is important to, whoever, you know, for whoever this might resonate with. That I understand you must be a very, very intelligent, highly successful person. You've done a lot of amazing things in your life. That's brilliant, and I'm very happy for you. But it's not enough in crypto. Everybody brings that to the table. Everybody. You need to do better than that. And that's why we do these live streams. Because I'm trying to communicate to you what I think that means. I might be wrong. I don't know. But if you find them useful, then definitely smash them up. Those likes, those subscription buttons, all that good stuff. Who does that on live? Good idea, though. A treadmill? I mean, why not, dude? It's not like you guys mind too much, right? Institutional cycle. There will not be an alt season ever again. New market. This is what I'm saying about, dude. This is what I'm saying about. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. It's just the fact that There is such certainty in the market now that nothing will ever be nice again. If this was like my first, if it was my second, maybe even if it was my third market cycle, I might be like, you know what? Not even my third, but it's definitely first or second, whatever. You can give it a pass. I'd be like, shit. What's this guy's name? We're putting you on the spot. I'll be like, Tiresome TM in the live chat says there's never going to be an alt season again. This guy in a YouTube live chat just told me there's never going to be an alt season again. Pack it up, ladies and gents. It's time to sell my crypto. Do you know what I mean? Like, that shit would have scared me a few years ago. Or many years ago, actually. But these days, I see sentiment like that, and I'm like, I don't really even care who you are. You could be Michael Burry, or you could be some dickhead on YouTube, or anybody in between. And I don't really think it matters that much. The point is, you've got people that are just telling you that you're never going to have sunshine ever again in your whole life. And I'm also being told this when overall market structure is still pretty good. And we're going to cover why in just a minute. I'm being told this where they have nothing really to point to other than the fact that there's a 4-year cycle theory. And Bitcoin looks a little bit overextended, maybe? I don't know. That's kind of all they have going for themselves, right? So, you know, we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be diving into all those nuances throughout the course of this live stream. How long do I walk for usually? I mean, on these streams, you know, however long the stream goes for usually. I might pause the treadmill sometimes. You know, and just kind of stand here. Killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Exactly. I love it. I love it. I think the market is just maturing. Exactly. I agree. I also believe the market is just maturing. And maturing doesn't mean overnight you stop things like alt seasons. The last time we genuinely had a chance for a real alt season was the peak of 2021. I know it sounds crazy, but it was. We had a little phase after Trump was elected, but it was only like certain coins and they were pumping very aggressively. The big ones like Ethereum didn't even move. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that we really had an alt season yet. I'm also hearing lots of interesting takes about, you know, people directly challenging the kind of ideas I'm putting out, which I love, because no one really does it. I think people don't usually do it because they don't really have anything to say. They just feel fearful about the market, so they want to stick to a narrative. But one thing I did see, interestingly, was, you know, people saying, well, we haven't really had the real pump yet. You know, that when people say that, which is what I'm saying, those people are saying you're crazy. They're saying Bitcoin's been trending up for, like, you know, 3-4 years. What do you mean we haven't had a real pump? We've gone from 15k to 126. And to that I say, do you know what, mate? You make a good point. You do make a good point. It's been an 8x return, yes. It has been an 8x return. What do I have to say about that? A lot of the time that this was going on, Bitcoin was outpacing gains of the stock market. This year, 2025, Bitcoin hasn't done that. This year, Bitcoin, compared to the stock market, just hasn't performed as well, especially when you consider how much riskier it is. We talk about this point a lot on this YouTube channel. If you're taking additional risk, whether that's in the form of an altcoin or anything else you could do with your money, you should get paid for that risk disproportionately. If you're taking an extra 2 units of risk, you should get an extra 4 units of reward. Does that make sense? There's no point in risking money to a higher degree and making linear returns based off that. It should be exponentially better. Because truthfully, you don't want to stick to taking those kind of high-risk plays all the time. It's not going to be good for you. There's a time and a place. It usually happens when you have smaller account balances. But you need to move away from that and get to safer strategies ASAP, if that's what you're doing. And that's why it's important to have that very asymmetric relationship with taking more risk. If you take more risk, you must have much, much, much more reward. Doing it any other way is an injustice to yourself and your account balances. Very, very important stuff, ladies and gents. Now, let's before I continue on those thoughts, let's bring it back to the Bitcoin chart. And let's cover some Bitcoin market structure, especially if we do start breaking local support levels now. We're going to keep the rect cam here on the right-hand side. That's on the 1 minute time frame. The degen cam. That's on the 1 minute time frame right here. So you guys can watch and see Bitcoin as it does potentially break our support level. And we're going to be covering what this actually means here on the left-hand side. See what the live chat's saying. Market's just maturing. YouTubers could be a bit annoying. We got an argument about Turkey. Edward saying, I'm going to play Battlefield 6 just to get more frustrated. Dude, Battlefield 6 is fun. What do you mean more frustrated? That shit's great. Go back to eating your halal food. That's cute. Nice. Let's go to the 4-hour time frame and just kind of break down what we see here. I think the first thing I do want to point out is that this is definitely quite a strong drop. I mean, you know, it's definitely a drop that's gone pretty heavy now for the market, especially compared to some of the price action that we had prior, where, for example, from this top down to the low, that was about a 13-14% move, but it took 19 days. This drop to get down to the same level took 4 days. So that's not a good sign. Like, that is definitely a bad sign. I think that's where a lot of the fear is coming from, is the fact that we're dropping down quickly. But I think we understand why that's happening very well as well, which is... I put this on the wrong time frame here, my bad. I think we understand why this is happening, which is that the S&P 500 is to blame. It's the S&P 500 that is essentially still pushing down. I don't know if it's still pushing down right now as we speak, but it was as of a few minutes ago. It looks like it is pushing down. Let's see what it is on this small time frame here. Yeah, very tiny, you know, consolidation right now. But, you know, if the S&P is unhappy, Bitcoin's going to be unhappy. I mean, that's just not surprising. That's just not, like, new information or anything that we could be reasonably surprised by. But it is, yeah, it is a fact of the market. That is what we're seeing indeed. So, you know, I think that's the first thing I'd point out is, yes, we do have an aggressive drop here. Yes, indeed, we did backtest a very important resistance level. We didn't even hit it. And we got rejected pretty bad. We're now down to the bottom of the range. So, you know, if this range doesn't hold, then that's kind of all the confirmation you need to potentially see a big drop from here. And when I say big, I mean like at least, you know, like a $6,000 move at least, down to like 102. A big drop, a quick one, right? But again, only contingent on the S&P 500 because it's not Bitcoin's price action that we're tracking here. It's the S&P. The S&P is the index here that isn't holding its support levels. And if it doesn't, why would Bitcoin? Bitcoin's a smaller market. Do you know what I'm saying, ladies and gents? Bitcoin is a much less liquid market. Bitcoin's just going to follow what the big guy does. So, I do think that's important. I do think that's important to keep in mind. Now, if we do drop this level, again, in terms of structure, 102 makes sense for support. Honestly, the whole range is support. And that's why I don't really like talking about this range. You can just kind of draw levels anywhere, which I think is a little bit silly. But it's real. I mean, I get why someone would do it. We have support all over this place. But 102, probably one of the more important ones. And below that, I think 98, probably even more important than that. I really like this $98,000 price level. I like it for a few reasons. One of the first reasons I like it is because this is the macro low that we set. Now, of course, we do have another macro low here, which we've already slipped below. Or you could just call this a double bottom because it is. But if we do drop below this level, we are losing market structure here. We are losing the macro low that we set. And that's definitely not ideal if we do drop below here and fall lower. But dropping below this low would be quite a bit more catastrophic because, you know, this is just kind of the bottom of our current range. This is the bottom of a different range. Do you know what I'm saying? So if we can't sustain above 98, that would again indicate more potential downside. But this is all on quite small time frames for analysis. Bitcoin on larger time frames for analysis has support that easily stretches down to 92. Easily. And it's not going to be that bad for the market. I mean, from the high down to the low, that's a 27% drop. Now, for a lot of people, this is where they're going to check out. They're going to be like, oh my god, 27% drop. And my answer to people like you is, what the hell are you doing in crypto, dude? Why are you here? 27% drop makes you uncomfortable? What are you doing here, fam? Go back to stocks or something, dude. Go do something that you understand a little bit more. If you don't like the idea of a 27% drop, I'm sorry, but this is like more than normal. This is more than, I don't, you know, like it doesn't matter if you don't like it. 33% down, and we stay in an uptrend, of course. Right here, 31, 32% down, and we stay in an uptrend. It's not surprising. So, I definitely don't think that you know, if we drop down by 27%, which Bitcoin is very well known to be able to tolerate, I just don't think it's the end of the world or anything close. I'm not worried at all if it does drop down that low. And one of the other big reasons that I'm not worried if Bitcoin does drop down that low is because what does that translate to for the S&P 500? Now, if we look at the high that we set here, let's say early October, we're down by 14% from the all-time high, early October. Let's see what the S&P 500 is doing. So same time, early October, roughly around exactly the same time, S&P drops by a total of 3%. So can we say, just to keep it simple, Bitcoin dropped by 14%, S&P dropped by 3%. Can we just say every percentage point that the S&P drops, Bitcoin's going to drop by 5? Can we just say that? Is that fair? I think that's fair. Well, if the S&P does drop down to this next level of support, that's going to be a total of, 4.5%. Call that 22% down for Bitcoin. 22% down for Bitcoin from 126 probably puts it down at about, I'm going to embarrass myself here, 102, right? I don't know. I could be completely wrong about that. But whatever. Not that big of a deal. The real support level that I think would kind of be a final line in the sand, and I still think the markets would be so healthy if this happened, I can't stress this enough, does imply a 50% drop for Bitcoin. Probably not going to happen like that. At some point, we're going to stop seeing such an aggressive drop for Bitcoin. And we are going to see the S&P leading that charge. We do see Bitcoin here on the 1 minute time frame punching above the 108.1 level that I mentioned. And immediately after we did punch above that level, we did start to break up higher, exactly as we had predicted here. Let's see where this goes for Bitcoin, because I did mention this could rise up to 109 and potentially even beyond. So we'll see how this plays out on this live stream. Ladies and gents, if you are enjoying this stream so far, do me a favor and smash up those likes. Absolutely smash them up if you haven't done so already. Let's get this thing above 200 likes. I know we should be able to do that. If you are new to the channel, you're getting the most realistic analysis you're going to see in the game. If you like it, if you want more of it, make sure you do subscribe so you get notified for these live streams. Get that bell icon checked, all that good stuff. Bitcoin is pushing up. It's managed to rise up about $300 above that level now. Let's see if it comes down for a back test or if it's just able to sort itself out. But like I said, we're not going to see necessarily a 50% drop for Bitcoin, although I don't even think that's going to be a problem. Bitcoin can tolerate drops, like it's just one of those things that people don't really want to acknowledge, or maybe they do acknowledge it, but again, there's just too much fear in their head to like make sense of the logic. Whatever the case may be, this is typical of Bitcoin, that it can tolerate big drops, especially inside of bull markets, especially when causality is there. The S&P 500, like I said, bottom line, is going to be the key tell for optimism and strength in the market. And if the S&P 500 wants to drop lower, then these are some decent support levels for that to happen at. I think the one right here is local. It's very, very close. It doesn't mean something particularly bad for Bitcoin. Getting lower than that, I don't even really like this level in the middle. I'm going to go ahead and remove that level. But getting below this level and coming down here, that would definitely be effectively a pretty nice market reset for the S&P 500. I just don't know politically if Trump can handle that, because this whole presidency, not that it was surprising, but this whole presidency has been very turbulent for him. And yes, he's achieved a lot of brilliant stuff as well, but it's clearly been very tough. It's clearly been very, very tough. I mean, half of his own base kind of hates him for a few different reasons right now. So, and obviously, the other half of the country also doesn't like him. So, it's just not very much support, or I guess we could call it approval. And because of that, I kind of struggle to see a 10% drop on the S&P right now. I just feel like it's a little bit too much turbulence all at once. But who fucking knows, man? It's Donald Trump. Do you know what I mean? Like, that guy can take the heat, for sure. That guy can take the heat, you know what I'm saying? So if he can take the heat, then, what does it really matter? He's just going to do what he needs to do. Here's Bitcoin right here. Still trying. We'll keep an eye on that to see how that keeps on going on. But again, my point is, forget Trump, forget his approval. All that shit's fucking just in the air and, like, a bunch of nonsense. You look at the real numbers for what they are. The S&P can totally tolerate a drop like this. And again, I'm actually quite disappointed by a lot of people in the market right now, because I look at people and I'm like, I thought you were better than this. I thought you could make more sense of what you're seeing than this. But no. Everyone's just kind of being sucked into the same fear-driven narratives right now. And again, I just don't recall ever seeing a market top where everybody and their fucking grandmother just got it right. And they just called the top. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't remember ever seeing a market top happening like that. And I feel like there are so many very typical signs that this market's still in a pretty decent place overall, even the S&P, even if it drops by 10%. Like, I find it... Do you know what I find crazy? Do you know what I find crazy more than all of this? Is that I have to sit here on a live stream or stand here on a live stream and talk to you guys about how a 10% drop on the S&P 500 is not a big deal. That's what I find crazy. That's what and the fact that like people still will be like, no, it's not okay, it's not normal, it's very dangerous, whatever. The S&P managed to rise up by 40%. I'm saying a 10% pullback. That's 4 steps forward, 1 step back. I mean, like, even that potentially... I mean, that sounds, like, realistic, but that could even potentially be a bit too much. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't think that most people have anything close to a realistic grasp about where we are in the market right now. I really think most people have got this so terribly messed up, you know, in terms of how they're viewing the market. Am I monitoring the Trump announcement? No, I don't really care. You know, look, the Trump announcements are clearly important. I probably should be watching them, but overall, they're going to do what they do to the market, right? I know what the levels look like. We're demystifying that right now on stream, covering a bunch of it. We're going to keep covering it. If there's an announcement, then whatever. There's an announcement, but I don't know. I'm just not the kind of guy that's going to sit in front of my laptop and, like, gawk at what Trump's next word is and fucking bid or sell, you know, based on what he's saying. I think that's an absolutely terrible lifestyle, number one. But more importantly, it's not even efficient to make money. It just makes you feel like it's efficient because you're doing more stuff. And if you do more stuff, then surely the way we were brought up, the way we were trained in jobs or whatever the case may be, is that the more you do, the more you earn. But not in this game. Not in the game of trading. In the game of trading, really what you need to do is calm down. You need to almost meditate. You need to find a center within yourself and live in it. And don't let other people knock you off that center. That's what you really need to do in this game. And you're not going to do that by hyping yourself up by every news announcement or sitting on Twitter all day. All that stuff. You're just not. So that's something we got to look at here. But here's Bitcoin continuing that move up. It did consolidate a little bit. Big jump up now, up to 10.6. Huge breakout coming in after that yellow line that we drew on the potential upside here, which is fantastic. And if you guys are looking for a place to trade all this beautiful stuff, you've got phenomenal exchanges linked in the description down below. Some of the best exchanges in the game linked in the description down below. Bybit and Blowfin, both down here, giving you very aggressive bonuses when you start trading using these links. That means when you deposit and start trading using these links, you're going to get huge bonuses deposited into your account. You can trade with that free money. You can make profits with that free money. You can withdraw those profits. You can never use the exchange again. You can just absolutely rip them off and no one can say shit to you, which is pretty cool. But you're not going to want to do that. You're probably going to like these exchanges. So check them out if you're not from a restricted region. Don't break your laws. But there we go. Nice big move up for BTC there, up to 106,600. So we'll see how that goes throughout the course of this live stream here. But that's the S&P 500. It can very, very well tolerate a 10% drop. It can also tolerate it very well, yes. And, you know, drops are kind of just part of the game for the S&P 500. The S&P 500 has actually been quite a bit more aggressive, I think, than usual. You know, more aggressive drops happening more often. That's also totally reasonable. Ladies and gents, let me be clear. Let me be very, very clear. The drops that come after a massive rise up in the market where everybody is fading the drop and everybody is saying this drop is not real. It's going to recover in a few days. Standard procedure. We're going to keep pumping. We're going to be up 20% in a week. When everybody's saying that, that's when I'm going to be like, okay, shit. Do you know what I'm saying? But when it's like half of the market trying to tell me that, you know, like it's over, and it's I can't even say some of the things I want to say. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's certain groups of people that are like very fucking vocal about it. You know, and I'm just like, I know you're a loser, dude. Like, I know you're the kind of guy that just loses all of your money in this market. And you're telling me what you think with such, like, firm belief in it. Instead of being a little bit more humble, being a student of the game, you just know everything. And all those people are waiting on one side right now? Okay. I can't be concerned about that. I've seen how this stuff plays out. A lot. And I don't see it. And the S&P 500 can tolerate big drops and stay completely fine. Like I said, I find it absolutely crazy right now that I can stand on stream here and tell you guys that I think a 10% drop for the S&P 500 not only is possible, but wouldn't be a bad thing. I cannot believe I'm standing here saying that, and I've got people, being like, actually, no, a 10% drop is catastrophic, and, major economic crash and all this nonsense. And again, just after the fact that the S&P 500 has now risen up by 40%. The prospect of it dropping down by 10% implies 4 steps forward, 1 step back. It's really not that bad. It keeps the S&P 500 in a healthy place. Now, what does it do to crypto? Of course, to crypto, it's going to be potentially a lot more catastrophic than that, right? Because crypto does move more aggressively than the S&P 500. So if the S&P 500 is going to be dropping where it is now, that could easily lead Bitcoin even as low as like 92K, 91K, even more than that. But Bitcoin still stays within healthy consolidation, or I should say correction ranges as well. Because a healthy correction range for Bitcoin, as we know from the data over like all of the years of Bitcoin's existence, Bitcoin can tolerate a 40% drop and be okay. And this bull market, Bitcoin tolerated 32% drops. And my goodness, the fear at those times. The fear at those times. You guys think crypto's a fucking walk in the park? Crypto's one of the most brutal asset classes ever made in history. It is probably the most brutal asset class ever traded in history. Crypto. Crypto's not nice. Crypto is a very, 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 very difficult, scary, dangerous game. And you just have to factor that in. That's the point I'm making on these streams. You have to, if you want to be in this market, you just have to know that that's what you're dealing with here. Because if you don't know that, or you don't want to know that, you don't want to focus on it, then drops are going to happen. You're going to be like, how the hell did this happen? It's like, actually, all of this shit was like kind of obvious, written in front of you. All you had to do was open your damn eyes, be cognizant of the realities of this market, and then evaluate what's in front of you. Chris Farrell, saying it exactly correct. Volatility equals opportunity. I think that's so important. I think that's so important. Morning Staple says, I'm down so much, so I'm trying to convince myself. Oh, man. Top is in, way to summon an all-time high. Exactly. I think that's usually how it goes, right? I mean, like I said, the tops happen when people don't really see them coming. Could this be the one example in Bitcoin's history where everybody in retail, as retail traders, could it be the one time in Bitcoin's history where retail just calls it right? And somehow they do indeed identify that the market topped, and they identified it while we were down here. Do you know what? They would be so crazy in their analysis, because those people have been identifying that the market topped since 70K, since 65K. Bitcoin damn near doubled from those kind of levels, but they're so accurate that they saw it coming from June of fucking 2024, when the prices were like, nearly half of where they are now. Is it really that those people got it right? Is it that they got it right during these moves here? Is it that they also got it right during the all-time high move here? And now they're all celebrating as we drop? Like, is that really how this market cycle goes? The first time in history where all of those retail snobs are actually correct about all of their takes? Is that how this plays out for the first time? Shit, it could be the first. There's a first time for everything, right? Everything that ever happens had to have a first time. So, I don't want to be so arrogant as to say that it's not possible. It's not impossible. It's just really silly and highly unlikely to happen. That's how I feel about it. That's how I feel about it. Morning Staple. This is a great example. We have it again here. The whole world is preparing for the inevitable financial crash. Gold and silver is value for thousands of years. There you go. So it's just, and these guys love it. These guys love these theories. I think they do naughty things to themselves with these theories when they tell these things to themselves. I don't know about you guys, but I think these theories really give them some serious pleasure. And it's not surprising, by the way. Like, for men, it's a real thing. Like, men love to make doom and gloom prophecies. Shit, I like to obsess over zombie apocalypses, you know what I'm saying? That's my like silly man thing, you know what I'm saying? But everyone has one, and for a lot of people in these markets, especially intelligent people, they just need everybody to believe that we're going to see a major financial crash again. I don't know, by the way, they could be right. Shit, there's so much debt, there's so many bad things going on right now that it definitely does make sense. My problem with people like that is that they've been saying it for many years, and the markets have made so many people so much money, but those people haven't made much money. Those people just talk. And that's a problem. Because I concede that we could be seeing any kind of big financial crash like what you're describing. I can see why that might happen. But that's not going to stop me from making money in between. I mean, if you really think the big crash is going to happen, then don't you think the number one thing to do right now is to simply just get as rich as you can? And if that is the case, then why fearmonger? Just stack your Bitcoin, bro. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if you really do think we're seeing a big crash, shouldn't you be focusing every single minute of your life into stacking as much as you can to be anti-fragile when it does happen? Or is it just more fun to tell everybody in your group chats or on YouTube that the world is going to be on fire in a few weeks? I don't know. But all you got to do is judge these people's actions, and you'll see what's truly going on in their head quite easily. Oftentimes you'll see it better than how they see it, because they don't know what the hell's going on in their own heads. They're just scared of what's going on in the market, and they can't rationalize anything as a result. But the fact is, Bitcoin's got a phenomenal trend here. Bitcoin's been trending up very, very healthily this entire market cycle. All it did this entire market cycle is move up, go sideways, move up, go sideways, move up, go down a little bit, move up, sideways, and then down, move up, and go sideways. That's it. That's all we've seen so far. And if we do defend this level, it's a big if. We don't know if we will. But if we do defend this level here, and if we do manage to produce another move up, then, again, we're just continuing the sideways trading range here. And we're continuing the sideways trading range under all-time highs. The last times we did that, every time it was a good thing. On this occasion here, sure, it didn't quite work out. The next occasion when we consolidated under our all-time highs right here, we popped. Over here, when we consolidated under our all-time highs, sure, we had to drop a little bit. We were in a little bit of a downtrend, but then we popped. Here, we consolidated under... Well, these weren't all-time highs. But we consolidated under market cycle highs. And then we popped. Here, consolidation under market cycle highs. And then we popped. The data's just not on your side. We're doing the same thing we've done many times before. If we defend this level, it's GG for the bears. They got no legs to stand on. Now, like I said, I don't know how likely it is that we are going to defend this level because of where the S&P 500 is and the fact that the S&P 500 is showing some signs of being shaky. But again, how much lower could this go? This is a great support level for the S&P 500. It's only like 1% or 2% away from where we are right now. So I'm not worried about that. Yeah, that's about 2% away from where we are right now. And then the support level down here is only 10% from the all-time high. So it's also not that crazy. So again, I just find it hard to be scared of where we are in this market right now. I actually think the market's in a very, very healthy place overall. Ladies and gents, if you are finding this live stream useful, entertaining, all that good stuff, smash those likes up. We're about 16 likes away from 200, so let's see if we can smash them up to 200 here. And if you are new to the channel, definitely make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss out on this very time-sensitive content. We got Orhan stacking bottle caps. You already know, playing the Fallout way. Gonna watch the Trump speech live. Nah, dude, I'm not pulling it up. I don't have audio for things coming out of my machine here, but again, I just don't, you know, he just says a bunch of shit and talks in circles, you know what I'm saying? So I don't really listen to what he says. I just kind of pay attention to what he does, and that's good enough. Only bullish thing I see is BTC.D. I mean, you've also got the fact that the S&P 500 is consolidating at all-time highs. I think that's kind of bullish. I don't know. That's, like, worked out incredibly well, like, most times in the last 25 years or whatever. Maybe more. So, I don't know. I think that's something. And Bitcoin itself also consolidating at all-time highs. We haven't dropped the support level yet. I'm going to tolerate deviations. Like I said, 102 is fine as well. We drop down to any of these levels, get quick recoveries. That's going to be amazing too. There's a little bit of cope going on. We might not do all these things. I'm stacking if statements on top of each other. But the bottom line is that it also doesn't matter. Because if Bitcoin does start seeing bigger drops and it takes Bitcoin down to levels like 92K, then who cares? All you're going to see is people getting scared in the crypto market. All you're going to see is altcoins getting hit a little bit harder than Bitcoin. It's not going to kill the market at all. It's just going to be a little bit of a market flush. And we had a huge market flush already, which is amazing. It's going to help us get higher. 1 week RSI doesn't look good either. We'll take a look at that in a second. Big whales buying gold. I mean, obviously there's a lot of gold buying going on right now. There's a lot of that. Let's see where gold's at right now. Shit! 4,300! Wow! Wow! Incredible! Incredible. You know, I saw something crazy. Gold's adding like $100 billion towards market cap every week. Is that real? Is that true? It's at $30 trillion for its market cap right now. That is such a crazy number that it doesn't even feel real. $30 trillion. Silver at $3 trillion. Precious metals are finally having their time in the sun, and I am all for it, ladies and gents. This is great news. This is really, really good to see. Wow, look at that. I mean, we knew it was coming. It's just nice that it's here, right? It's just nice that it's here. Uncle says, I've been stacking silver since 2020. Now it's unobtainable from the Royal Mint and other bullion dealers I use. I can no longer buy physical silver. Yep, that makes sense. You got a supply constriction there. It was GG for silver holders. You guys have won. Good job. Silver bugs finally making some profits. I like to see it. You guys did the right thing and you just held on. I feel like that's how Litecoin is. I feel like that's how Litecoin is. You know, I saw a brilliant tweet from the official Litecoin page. It was crazy. And they were like... it was something to the tune of like, we haven't gone down in over 7 years and the only other person that can say that is your wife. And I was like, you guys are just on a different level. I was like, good job. That was brilliant. I love this culture of like absolutely ridiculous shit posting on Twitter right now from like official accounts, even from US government accounts. I love it, man. That's how it should be, dude. We need shit posted everywhere. Shit posting is brilliant. Are we cooked? I don't think anything's cooked, dude. I think we're fine. I think we're fine. But yeah, here's Litecoin. Obviously, again, just stayed super, super stable. Litecoin just doesn't really drop, which is brilliant. Akshay likes it. I thought that was a brilliant tweet. I thought that was fantastic. Litecoin intern for the win. Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. You know, Litecoin's doing pretty good. I think Litecoin's kind of like silver. I think Litecoin's another one that, you know, hasn't really popped yet. Hasn't really had a chance in a very, very long time. It kind of gets laughed at a little bit. But, you know, I mean, this thing's obviously not going to, you know, like, die. I mean, by the way, like, not many people are even aware of this, but, you know, Litecoin, if we go ahead and refresh CMC right here, where is Litecoin right now in terms of market cap? Look at that. It's number 20. It's got a $7 billion market cap. Number 20. It's slightly ahead of Shiba by about $1 billion. And it's behind bcash, Stellar, Sui, Avalanche. I mean, the fact that Litecoin held on this long is pretty impressive. Now, I need to look at the fundamentals to see if it's actually worthy of investing. But just going off the technicals, it's it looks incredible. I mean, it just looks like XRP before XRP pumped. Remember? Let me show you that. Let me show you XRP before XRP pumped. You're going to be like, holy shit. You're actually a genius, Sammy. Look at this. It's the same chart. It's the same chart. Look at this. I'll put it on the side. I'll put it on the side. Thanks for 200 likes, by the way, legends. Thank you very, very much. Smash them up if you're enjoying this live stream. You already know the deal. All right, we got XRP on the weekly here. Put Litecoin on the weekly. Zoom out a little bit. Put it on the logarithmic. Zoom in. And let's get some lines drawn. Bam. Line 1. Bam. Line 2. And by the way, that big liquidation drop that happened for everybody, Litecoin just came down to this support level on that drop. And if we zoom out, show you what that looks like. Do you see what I'm saying, ladies and gents? And do not be mistaken, these coins come from similar generations in crypto. Litecoin was, of course, quite a bit earlier than XRP, but they both really got their big shine in 2017. That's when I joined crypto. I remember this very well. I love Litecoin. I love Litecoin, man. I love it. Litecoin is like... How I feel about a Litecoin? Litecoin is it's like a 911 from like... It's like a 911 Turbo S from like 2013. That's how I feel about Litecoin. We got Uncle saying Litecoin is super fast to send between wallets. Look, I don't doubt that, but what I'm wondering is it fast? Is it fast because it's good, or is it fast because nobody uses it? That's an important question. We need to figure that out. But you know, this is the same chart. XRP pump, Litecoin potential pump. It's the same chart. So look, I don't know if that's gonna work out this way, but I definitely think that, you know, Litecoin is at an interesting place, and it really, really does remind me of silver. But we do go back to precious metals here, and this is absolutely crazy. $29.95 trillion market cap for gold. It's going to hit $30 trillion potentially, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, whatever. But very, very, very cool stuff. And I can't stress this point enough about the Litecoin chart. The fact that the Litecoin chart looks like this just looks so interesting. And I'll tell you what. You know, look, you might not want to risk money on this, but you might not care if you've got free money from these exchanges. Because when you do sign up and start trading with these exchanges, they're just going to deposit free money into your account. And you can trade with it. You can make money with it. You can withdraw the gains that you make with it. You don't even have to use the exchange ever again. Which is really, really cool. So check them out if you do like the idea of those kind of free bonuses to be able to take advantage of them. Check them out if you're not from a restricted region. If you do want to get inside of our free Telegram channel, that's going to be this link in the description down below. And if you want to get inside of our one-to-one program that lasts 12 weeks with incredible results, it is expensive, it is serious, but if it sounds like you can reach out using this link right here. If you are enjoying the stream so far, definitely make sure to smash them up, do all that good stuff. But yeah, these coins looking pretty good. I think Litecoin looks like one of those coins that haven't popped off yet. I've been saying this for a couple of months. Litecoin is slow. I mean, you're literally looking at price action for Litecoin that stretches all the way back to 2018 here. Litecoin is pretty slow. It's been 7 years. It hasn't done anything. It's done so badly against inflation as a result. So, you know, I just don't really see it going on forever. It's clearly kind of coiling up a little bit. I think the fact that this liquidation drop stopped exactly at support proves so much to us. I mean, these people that have bought it are not going to sell it until it pops. So all you need is a little bit of demand coming in. There's no supply. Bam, shit goes crazy. I think I've convinced myself I got to start building a position in Litecoin. It feels like silver. It feels like gold. It feels like XRP. It's got the narrative for it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it just kind of makes sense to me. Network activity on Litecoin has been steadily rising for years. That's cool too. That's definitely good too. It's just got all the signs. It's got all the signs. You know, I think the only thing working against it is the fact that, well, shit, it's done nothing. Do you know what I mean? But, like, 7 years down the line, and I think we've, you know, I don't even think we've seen anything close to the biggest pump to this market cycle so far. I really don't. I think we're good. I don't know. I like it. Not financial advice. You guys know the deal. Do your own research. Really, really important note. But I like it. I think it's good. If I remember a lot right, Litecoin also has a halving cycle. I guess that could make sense. I'm not actually sure. What are we at on this treadmill? It says I've done 220 calories. That's not much. Yeah, Apple Watch says 250, so it looks accurate. 2.4 kilometers. That's not bad. 2.4 kilometers on stream. I might pause this for a second here. I don't know, maybe not. Been doing this for 1 hour straight now. That's not bad. I can keep going. So yeah, that's what I think about Litecoin. I think that's looking pretty decent. I might actually just make a note of that really quickly, because I do want to look into that after this stream. So So I'll just make the note of that. There we go. That's done. Let's go ahead and put Bitcoin back on the right-hand side here. Take a look at it on the 1 minute. All right, that's Bitcoin right there. And then on the left-hand side, we'll just put Bitcoin again here, just to see if there's anything I missed covering with you guys. I think the other thing that I just didn't get to say yet is quite simply that, you know, if Bitcoin does end up getting a bounce from here for whatever reason, we're looking at this resistance again at about 117. Again, I don't think that this resistance is going to be hard to break. So, you know, the more we test it, the weaker it becomes. I'm more confident now. If Bitcoin does rise up, that we're going to break this resistance, especially after hitting support as well. Especially if the support level does get defended and we don't drop below it, that's going to be a pretty good sign as well. I don't like the fact that we came down here, but I don't think it's going to put the market in jeopardy or anything like that at all. So if we do get up here, I do think we're going to be breaking that resistance level, and that does put us back toward 120, and then 120 and above, we're back to potential all-time highs. But again, I don't think any of that is actually going to happen unless the S&P 500 itself starts moving up, and that is, of course, going to be a slightly more kind of political, you know, discussion, stuff like that. I want to see if I can see anything interesting on Twitter real quick right here. Probably not, to be honest, but let's just take a look. Eric Trump says the Trump family has apparently stole or made more than $1 billion from crypto. It's just a bunch of... It's just a bunch of normal shit posting by the looks of it on Twitter today. Nothing particularly interesting at all by the looks of it. That's funny. That's funny. Nothing really going on, yeah. To shed light on this, and I don't think it matters, frankly. I really don't think it's like anything that important or significant for us. The markets are just kind of figuring themselves out. The S&P is in a little bit of consolidation. It really doesn't have to be more complicated than that. I know people want it to be complicated because they can't understand why the drop is happening, but shit, sometimes markets just kind of move down a little bit, and you'll be better off if you just accept that and respect that in most cases. But let's take a look at some of those altcoins. Let's look at Bitcoin dominance to start. So Bitcoin dominance is chilling, just hanging out. Looks like it's actually going to be dropping down again, I think. Chris Farrell says, oh my god, Litecoin has been the biggest dog in my crypto holding since 2017. I keep thinking it has to pump at some point, and it just keeps not happening. Yeah, it does, but it's the same as XRP. I don't think I showed this to you guys clearly enough, but XRP was doing this too for the longest time. And, you know, like, you could also lose faith in XRP, and I understand why you would, but, you know, I mean, XRP just had, like, a clearer narrative to it because, you know, integration with the banks and all that good stuff. And also, obviously, just, I think, what's the other one? Just the court cases, you know? Litecoin, by comparison, hasn't really been in the news. But, you know, since 2018, dude, like, XRP was the same. You know, and is it, like, totally inconceivable that, you know, XRP finally pumps November of 2024, and then Litecoin is a year or two later? I don't know, man. I just think that, you know, all of the pieces are there for Litecoin. It just kind of needs that spark to go. It doesn't look like anyone has a spark to give it or wants to give it a spark, to be honest. That I think, is the weird part. But, you know, beyond that, I really don't think we're looking at anything, you know, too crazy at all over here. For Litecoin, you know, I think that Litecoin just kind of needs somebody to give it that spark, and it'll be okay. Just a sec here. Look at Cardano. Yeah, we'll take a look at that real quick over here. 65 cents here against the dollar, and on the hourly it looks like it's just kind of sideways as well. It's just doing what Bitcoin's doing. ADA BTC looking good. Sol BTC looking pretty good. Ethereum BTC looking pretty good. Looking very good. Litecoin ETF is around the corner. So that's one thing, right? A Litecoin ETF is like one potential reason to kind of expect it to pop, but I don't really think it's like good enough, you know? I think that it's going to need more than just the ETF. But again, like the ETF is also just something that, just sounds really obvious that, it's going to lead to big pumps coming as well. So, yep. That's how that looks to me. Let's look at some of the other altcoins. Let's look at XRP itself. Hanging out. They're all just doing what Bitcoin's doing. They're in the same place as Bitcoin. On the edge of another potential collapse right here. XRP BTC holding on. Similar kind of pattern. 𝐂𝐿𝐴 says it's amazing how fast the narrative shifts when Bitcoin simply chops sideways. I know, right? But to me, 𝐂𝐿𝐴, what that tells me is that this market is still just very immature. It just tells me that the market is still very immature, and that if the market is immature, and unable to digest these kind of drops, then what's going to happen is those people who are impatient are just going to be selling their shit, and giving it to the people who are more patient, and then those people who sold are going to be able to buy again at higher levels. We've seen this go on a lot. It's a meme. It's a joke, right? But that's because it's real. Sinessa says, good to see you live again. Good old times. Hell yeah, dude. Welcome to the live stream. I think you're a dude. I'm looking at your profile picture and it's so small. So if I misgendered you, then I don't know. Maybe we keep it there that way for fun, or maybe not. I don't know. Imagine actually misgendering someone and someone coming up to you and be like, actually, I'm a they. I'd be like, what the fuck? I'd be so confused. I spent too much time in the Middle East, I think. Like, I'd be like, what the hell? Like, you guys are real? Because I've never met someone like that, But yeah, I think alts are looking good. I think everything's just kind of looking to see what the S&P does, and like I said, that sounds like it could be a little bit more of a political discussion. I do want to see if there's any interesting kind of articles I can pull up for us to look at today, because this is definitely interesting to look at if there really is anything worth talking about. So just bear with here while I check on this. Like, it seems like my connection is just not being great right now, but China blames US for that was weird. China blames US for trade tensions, warns against decoupling. That's probably going to be the most relevant one today. Trump to meet Putin in Budapest to discuss war in Ukraine. This is what I'm saying, right? So, like, there's always going to be stuff that's kind of, like, littered around that could be a good thing or a bad thing for the markets. Now, basically every time they've had a discussion about Ukraine and Russia, it's gone badly. The intended outcome did not happen pretty much every single time. That's going to be for various reasons. Blame it on Trump, blame it on Zelensky, whoever. It doesn't really matter. These things just haven't really gone particularly well every time. Now, if they don't, that's probably going to result in a further drop for the market. But if they do, then that's going to be something that the market's probably going to like quite a bit. And we are still on an uptrend. And despite how fearful everybody and their grandmother is, we're responding to good news like we are in an uptrend for the most part. There are exceptions to this, but for the most part, we are doing that. So if we do start getting positive developments coming out of meetings like this, then that's going to really help ease the pressure on these markets. I think, yeah, it just doesn't look too bad or crazy at all. Let's see if I can pull one of these articles up here. And right here, so China blames US for trade tensions, warns against decoupling. What are the key takeaways? China's commerce minister blamed the US for the recent escalation in trade tensions. Just standard shit, fam. They don't do anything different. Wang says US measures seriously harm China's interests and undermine the atmosphere of the bilateral economic and trade talks. Just words. It's just words. A Late last month, the Commerce Department published a rule that widened the application of sanctions to companies affiliated with blacklisted Chinese firms. That came after the Madrid round of negotiations led by Treasury 𝗏𝗏 and Vice Premier He Lifeng. Who do these people work for? 𝗏𝗏 sounds like an American, but I don't know who this guy is. U.S. measures seriously harm China. They're just saying this article is just a bunch of nothing. This is just a bunch of nothing. I'm gonna keep that tab open, but we're definitely not gonna keep on looking at that. Let's see if 𝐂𝐞𝗔𝗓 has something a little bit more interesting. What's up, Florida? Welcome to the live stream. Good to see you again. Congrats for the truth speaking. Can you check EGLD charts, please? Yeah, we'll take a look in a sec. Bitcoin fear index hit a yearly low, but it's time to accumulate, not panic, says Bitwise. Let's see what the fear and greed index actually says right here. 28. There we go. 28. So we're still pretty low. We're still pretty low as far as sentiment goes, which is good. What else we got here? Nothing completely out of the ordinary. It actually doesn't look that bad at all. Like, it actually just doesn't look like anything is particularly bad at all right now. So, I don't know. By the way, ladies and gents, while I do have you here, YouTube can be a bit of like a censoring communist platform sometimes, and we did get hit with something like that recently. So I don't know how much longer the channel's going to be up for. It's probably going to be completely fine, being honest, but because I've had this like once or twice in the past, and it's always nothing, and I know good people, so it should be fine. But hey, just in case, if this channel does go down, you will be able to find us here on this Telegram channel. So get inside now, because you won't, if something bad does end up happening, I don't think it's going to happen. YouTube's not really like ban-hammering people right now. They're actually getting a lot better with that kind of stuff. But just in case, it's always worth keeping in mind. Just get inside this Telegram channel. You'll always kind of be up to date on what we're doing and continue to get this analysis as well. We do put free market updates in there as well, which YouTube doesn't see. We do upload those in there as well, so you can catch those if you are in that channel. But yeah, definitely worth checking that out. But yeah, 𝐂𝐞𝗔𝗓 doesn't really say anything particularly interesting as well. We could look at this article here in case they have anything interesting to say, but I really doubt it's going to be. It's probably just going to be like a bunch of like random statistics that they use to make a case for Bitcoin, which like clearly, as you can tell from the way I'm speaking about it, I just don't think that any of this stuff is like particularly important or useful. Like you could just, like, you can spend all day running yourself around in circles looking at all sorts of like fringe technical tools, but or just charts in general, but like I don't really think it. I mean, the page is not loading anyway, so it's not even my choice. I don't seem to be able to show it to you today, but I don't really think it really matters that much. I think for the most part, if you just kind of look at the basics, you look at the S&P 500s, you look at Bitcoin's kind of broad market structure, you can start painting out, what your best and worst case looks like, and then you can see kind of where you think you might be, perhaps somewhere in the middle, depending on, obviously what happens when you start applying that nuance. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much, all I have to say on this stream. It's been a brilliant stream. Thank you all for tuning in. If you have enjoyed it, make sure to smash up those likes if you haven't done so already. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already as well, so that you don't miss out on this time-sensitive content. Very, very important. It's been an absolute pleasure, ladies and gents. Thank you all for tuning in. I think I will round off the stream from here. So you